Hello and welcome. I'm Chris Moyer. We are having such a great ETS. Thank you so much, Aaron Hardick, for that introduction. And what a fantastic panel discussing decarbonization and how we fund that in the future. I think that is the perfect prelude to the conversation that I am so excited to be having right now. And that's powering through Xcel Energy's approach to clean energy, electric vehicles, and COVID-19. I am so privileged to be joined by Brett Carter, the Executive Vice President, Chief Customer and Innovation Officer at Xcel Energy. Brett, thank you so much for sitting down with Z Prime and joining us at ETS20.
Thanks, Chris. I appreciate the invitation.
Well, Xcel Energy has been an absolute leader in this clean energy transition, and you've been at the forefront of that. Can you tell us about your Xcel's company vision and your progress towards clean energy goals? And has anything changed due to the COVID-19 pandemic?
So, in terms of the vision, I will tell you, Chris, we were the first major U.S. power company to actually announce a goal of reducing carbon emissions. We especially the vision for 100% carbon-free electricity by 2050. But what's great about what we're doing is we also set a shorter term goal of reducing carbon emissions by 80% by 2030. And so we're well on our way. And to answer your question, in 2019, we reported a 44% reduction in carbon emissions over our 2005 level. And that was a 10% drop in a single year over 2018. So we're still fully committed to our clean energy goals and moving forward as planned, and even, like I said, ahead of schedule. And we're excited about that. We think that we're on pace to deliver that 80%. We've got some bigger visions that I'd love to share with you during this conversation.
Well, that's great, and I think that as we talk about the transition to Xcel's energy transition to that 100% renewable and the intermediary targets of 2030, one of the key components in doing that is also electrifying the transportation system throughout your service territory. And just a few weeks ago, this is a really, really exciting announcement, and I know you played a pivotal role in it. Xcel announced a new vision of powering 1.5 million electric vehicles by 2030. That's a pretty audacious goal. Can you tell us a little bit more about what's new and how that will work?
So you're absolutely right. It's a big goal. And Ben Folk, our chairman, CEO, and I released a video that absolutely went viral. We had over 100 million clicks on this, on our video or on our ads. We just did a few interviews, and before we knew it, there were hundreds of other articles being released on it. The excitement around this is that it ties so closely to our clean energy vision. And as you likely know, the transportation sector is now the largest emitter of greenhouse gases. So this was a natural place for us to focus all of our efforts. Our vision is to power 1.5 million electric vehicles in the 8 states that we serve by 2030. And that would mean about a 20% or so of the vehicles on the road would be electric, which is 30 times more than we have today. So I'm gonna just tell you something about that number. So that would save our customers billions of dollars in fuel costs. And I don't think people really understand that charging a vehicle with electricity on our system is the equivalent of about $1 per gallon of gasoline. And that's during the regular time. If they were to charge in the evenings when our wind energy is much more abundant, and on the weekends, we could get that number way down, significantly under $1 per gallon. And electric vehicles, of course, are much lower maintenance. So this is a customer play for us. I mean, we're pursuing this vision because our customers are asking for it, and the market is moving in that direction. So auto manufacturers have already spoken. They're planning on over 500 new models of electric vehicles by 2023. and $300 billion of spend in that space by the automakers by 2030. So this is a customer play for us. They've been asking for it, and we're in a great position to deliver it, Chris.
Well, as speaking to you from Detroit, and you're speaking from Minneapolis, I know there's a lot of buzz here in Detroit about all the electric vehicles, and it's through those types of partnerships that clearly utilities have a long-term beneficial gain, both for your customers. I'm so glad you framed it that way, but also the opportunity to make an impact on your financial bottom line, and ultimately the sustainability in transportation. As we think about what steps utilities could be taking to support their customers when it comes to electric vehicle adoption, what are some of those things that Xcel is doing from a programmatic perspective? How will Xcel support the adoption of electric vehicles?
Well, one of the things we wanted to really focus on, Chris, was making it easy for more people to use EVs through new charging infrastructure and very intuitive and easy to use customer programs. So, as drivers, rideshare companies, public transit, and other fleet operators replace vehicles with EVs, we wanted to offer them that cleaner fuel. We also wanted to reduce the cost, but we wanted to make sure that it was accessible to all socioeconomic groups. Because if you think about it, Tesla was the first real player in the EV space, and their vehicles were pretty expensive. What we're trying to really focus on is ensuring that every socioeconomic group can participate in this, and that's why we're focusing on ride sharing, rebates for even used EV vehicles. If you look at some of the cars that have been introduced that are on the lower cost end, you've got Tesla entering vehicles in at a $35,000 level. You have GM introducing vehicles in that $35,000 and $35,000 level and lower. And then we're looking at powering, buses and other vehicles as well. I mean, think about it. Lyft just made a big announcement that they want 100% of their drivers to be using electric vehicles by 2030. You've got Amazon moving aggressively toward a 2030 goal for electric vehicles. These are the players that have stepped up and said, hey, we want to partner with you in that space. And so our programs, and we can talk about that, but our programs are focused clearly on those customers that can really benefit from those savings that I talked about before.
Well, you mentioned the opportunity for fleet electrification, and clearly that there's a lot of excitement in that regard. But another key topic that you just brought up was making sure that clean energy and clean transportation is accessible across the economic spectrum. And for the past few years, it's undoubtable that it's clear that it's how excited more affluent customers are to put solar panels on their roofs, or battery storage in their homes, or buy that $80,000 Tesla. That's fun and it's exciting. But to truly make clean energy a goal that everybody benefits from, we also have to think about that electric vehicle piece of it too, and whether it's the bus or some other parts. How are you planning to make the vehicles more accessible to people up and down that economic spectrum?
Now that's a great question. So if you think about it, in order for us to get this completed, we're going to have to make investments, and we've already proposed about $300 million to accelerate investments in our service territories of EVs. So I mentioned a pilot that we're doing, a charging subscription pilot in Minnesota. So it allows for our customers to charge as much as they need on nights and weekends for one low flat rate. That can also be combined with a charger being installed in or near the home. And that one flat fee is actually less than $50 a month for all you can use. There are a lot of people that are putting $50 a week in their vehicles when they're using gasoline. And so bringing that charging fee down, and because that abundance of renewable energy is there overnight, it lowers that fee and allows for us to offer those kind of programs. And we believe we can get even more aggressive than that. So that's something we've rolled out in Minnesota. It was fully subscribed in 24 hours, that pilot. People love it. They're taking advantage of not just the subscription on the energy side, but they're also taking advantage of the installation of the charger. So a very, very, I'll just say, accessible program that saves money to all customers, no matter what socioeconomic class you're at. We're also looking at a residential smart charging pilot in Colorado that we're launching later this year. So it's going to reward customers for conveniently optimizing their charging times, again, taking advantage of the grid at the most optimal renewable energy usage time. So all of our pilots and programs are increasing access to public charging across the spectrum. So whether you're in an urban area or whether you're in a rural area, our infrastructure is going to be available to everyone. And that's one of the things that we're really excited about. That accessibility piece, Chris, to your point, has been limited on the EV side. Education and advice for customers and ensuring that is across the board to the public about the benefits of electric vehicles. Whether they visit an Xcel Energy website or they visit a dealership or call the company's energy experts, we're going to ensure that everyone knows the benefits of this and how they can participate in lowering the greenhouse gas emissions in the transportation space while also saving themselves a lot of money.
Well, it's a really impressive vision. And I mean, I'm dating myself here slightly. And even when I recall that when I started driving, gas was about 89 cents a gallon. And
Right.
even in this time period where COVID impacted the price of oil and the price of gas at the pump, and it got down into the 120s, 130s, 150s, depending on where you are in the country. There's still no doubt that the program that you've just described here, the pilot that you've just described, that $50 a month for unlimited charging, is going to significantly lower the cost of an electric vehicle over the lifetime of that vehicle. I
Absolutely. And then Chris, think about the fact that the maintenance on an electric vehicle is much lower than the maintenance on a gasoline powered vehicle. So you think about the fact that what you've got is a battery running 4 wheels. There's no oil changes. There's no transmission fluid. I mean, there's so much more efficiency in an electric powered vehicle that reduces the maintenance cost to the owner as well.
It's a really exciting time, and it's great to see Xcel taking the lead with this ambitious 1.5 million vehicle target. I want to shift gears and talk about the topic that is inescapable right now. Here we are talking over Zoom. It's great to see your face, but I think we both acknowledge that it'd be so much better if we were together in person on the stage in Austin, Texas. But this is a new world we're living in. How has Xcel weathered the changes brought on by the COVID-19 pandemic?
I think this is where, I have to give a nod to all the companies in this country that did a fantastic job at pivoting home. But as a company, Xcel, we pivoted quickly and very successfully to having about 50% of our workforce working from home. And I'm talking over less than a week. We moved a lot of our people home. Now, I have to give a shout out to all of our frontline employees that are ensuring that we're keeping our customers' power on, regardless of the weather. regardless of what's happening, we've been a very stable force, and we have to stay a stable force. Our cybersecurity teams, our business systems teams, or IT teams were able to quickly roll out a number of new programs to help us ensure that we were able to communicate safely and effectively enterprise-wide. Like you said, we've used a lot of different platforms in order to make sure that we're able to continue our communication, which is critical for us to keep the power on for our customers in a crisis like this. Because I will tell you, in a crisis like this, if the power is not reliable, things get a lot worse a lot faster. So we've made a strong commitment to doing all we can do to keep our customers, our communities, and our employees as safe as possible during this time. And we have some employees that have been working in the field and as well in control rooms. And so we've had to rethink what social distancing means inside our own environment, enhanced cleaning protocols, and being careful to use personal protective gear that goes above and beyond what we were using before. We're not immune to the financial impact of this pandemic, obviously, with a lot of businesses shutting down, and we're doing everything we can to reduce our operating costs so we continue to serve our customers safely while we bring our operating costs down this year so that we're not a burden to our customers as well. So lots of change, lots of, I'll just say, effective management of our business that I would say is being recognized in the financial sector as analysts have looked at what we've been able to do to effectively manage our costs down.
Well, I want to emphasize one point that you made, and so much of that I think will resonate with utilities tuning in to ETS20. But as you mentioned, your field workers, your workers in the control room, and everybody throughout the Xcel family and throughout the utility industry writ large has been on the front lines and has been on the front lines very quietly. I'm going to say this a lot over the course of these 2 weeks of ETS, but we absolutely owe a huge round of gratitude and more gratitude to the doctors, the nurses, the grocery store workers, the delivery drivers that have been very visible in keeping us safe and fed and society knit together. But at that same level, but behind the scenes, has been utility professionals like yourself and like your team that has kept the power on and allowed for people to work from home. There wouldn't be the internet if you didn't have the electric grid underpinning that. People wouldn't be able to comfortably stay in their home without power, and so more needs to be celebrated when it comes to the utility workers. So I'll just say thank you to you and everybody at Xcel.
Well, I tell you, Chris, that was great for you to say that, and I accept that thank you for all of the Xcel employees because I can't thank them enough for all that they're doing. I mean, they're definitely a critical part of what I would consider to be confidence that is necessary in times like this. So appreciate those comments.
Well, I'm happy to make them. And then as we wrap up this conversation, I think it's critical, as you have discussed, that we talk about the efforts, the great lengths that utilities, and in particular Xcel, has taken to support customers and support communities during this financial part of the COVID-19 pandemic crisis. So can you delineate and talk a little bit about what Xcel Energy has done to support communities throughout your service territories?
So there are a lot of things that we're doing, and you talked about the fact that our workers on the front line. Our workers actually formed a long chain of vehicles at one of the major hospitals here, and they applauded the hospital workers as they were coming off shift or going in. It made the news here in a big way, and it just shows that the gratitude that you showed earlier is something that even our employees recognize that they're not the only ones on the front line. So they're thanking, those hospital workers and the people that are also making sure that we're safe. But over and above that, Chris, we've committed to doing our part to support our customers and communities during this time in a financial way as well. We've donated over $1.5 million to support the local food banks and other relief organizations in areas that we serve. We've partnered with the Vikings. We've partnered with the Minnesota Vikings to deliver over 11,000 meals. We've also committed to donating the proceeds from the sale of a large Mankato Energy Center that we just recently sold, which is about a $20 million proceeds that we're going to commit to short and long-term giving, including COVID-19 relief. So in June, we did submit a proposal to the Minnesota Public Utilities Commission to help drive economic recovery in the state. So we do play a large part in the economic development aspects of the state, and that submittal that we made includes about $3 billion of accelerated and incremental projects that are going to. One of the things that we don't talk a lot about, we haven't talked a lot about on this call, and that's jobs. And so we're looking at creating an estimated 5,000 jobs with this slate of projects. And it's also a slate of projects that is enhancing and advancing the transition to cleaner energy and to keep our customer bills stable. So those plans include adding about 460 megawatts of solar next to our Sherco coal plant in Minnesota. But just think about all of what I mentioned, the financial support. We've got programs for our commercial and industrial customers that directly relate to them operating post-pandemic. We have also helped our commercial and industrial customers identify the different stimulus programs that fit them best. So we've been a resource for all along the way, as well as adding these additional programs that I talked about to help our customers conserve energy and save money through these tough times.
Well, Brett, I feel like we could probably go on and talk about clean energy and electric vehicles and helping to drive economic growth for another hour. But I'm going to be respectful of your time and recognize that we'll hopefully have another chance to chat in the near future.
Yeah, Chris, I tell you, this has been a wonderful conversation. I love the fact that you had me come out and talk about this. As you can tell, this is a very passionate subject for me. Love Z Prime, love what you guys do. So thanks again for the invitation.
Well, it's our pleasure. Stay safe, stay positive. We look forward to chatting with you again on innovation and the customer in the near future. I'm going to turn it back over to Aaron Hardick to continue with our program today. I'm Chris Moyer for Z Prime. Thanks again, Brett.
Thank you.